Commanders team needs to fill in 2023 NFL Draft. Attention Washington Commanders fans, are you ready to discover the hottest and most exclusive news about the team? Subscribe to the channel and activate the small bell. The Washington Commanders have a clear goal of protecting their starting quarterback better in 2023. They started to address that target by signing Andrew Wiley and Nick Gates in free agency, but they could do more to reinforce the offensive interior. The Commanders could have questions at left tackle with Charles Leno, and they may find a younger replacement for him in the 2023 NFL Draft. Washington seems committed to Sam Howell, and Jacoby Brissett was brought in to provide cover in case the 2022 draft pick does not pan out as a starter. That means the Commanders should look for all sorts of help around their starting quarterback in the draft, instead of picking a new signal caller for offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy to work with. Washington could use more help at tight end, where Logan Thomas's injuries have made him an unreliable part of the roster. The Commanders also need to fill some defensive depth at cornerback, but putting the best set of players in place to help protect Howell is the primary goal. Offensive line. The Commanders took a nice step forward at the start of free agency by landing Gates and Wiley to shore up the offensive line. The latter should slot in at right tackle, and the former will be the team's new center. The NFC East side needs more help around the pair to challenge Leno at left tackle, or it could find a new starting guard in the draft. Washington could go in a handful of directions with the number 16 overall pick, and it may be better suited to land a cornerback in that spot and then focus on the offensive line in the later rounds. Top-tier offensive tackles such as Northwestern's Peter Skoronski and Ohio State's Paris Johnson Jr. could be off the board by the middle of the first round. The Commanders can focus their attention on the offensive line in the second and third rounds, when more interior players typically go once the top offensive tackles have been chosen. Leaving the draft without an offensive lineman would be a failure by the front office, since Howell must be protected at all costs to help him develop into a consistent starting QB. Cornerback. Washington comes into the draft with Kendall Fuller and Benjamin St. Just as its primary cornerbacks. That is a solid duo to have, but the team can get better at the position, especially if one of the top corners drops to number 16. Jordan Reed of ESPN.com has projected Joey Porter Jr. of Penn State to fall to the Commanders in the first round. Washington would gladly take that outcome if it means it can have 3 starting caliber cornerbacks on the roster. The recent wide receiver additions across the NFC East make it imperative that the team has enough coverage in place to not be overwhelmed on defense. The Commanders conceded the 10th most passing touchdowns in the NFL in 2022 despite conceding the 4th fewest passing yards. If they cut down on the scoring concessions, they could surprise some people with a well-rounded defense. Adding a top corner prospect, such as Porter or Illinois' Devin Witherspoon, could be a vital step in improving the points against total. Tight end. Tight end is the weakest offensive skill position on the Washington roster. Thomas has been solid when he has been on the field, but the key for him is just staying on the gridiron. The number 1 TE played in just 20 games over the last 2 seasons. Washington could use a younger, more durable target across the middle to help quarterback Howell. The Commanders struck gold in last year's draft by landing running back Brian Robinson, who eclipsed Antonio Gibson in production in the second half of the season. Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel and 2022 first-round pick Jahan Dotson make up a solid wide receiver trio to complement the running back duo. Washington probably won't land Notre Dame's Michael Mayer, the top TE prospect in the draft, because of its other needs in the first round, but it can find a productive pass catcher across the middle in any of the other rounds. If the Commanders can find the right piece there, they may be an offensive force if Howell develops into a strong starter. So Washington Commanders fans, what do you think of this summary? Leave your opinion in the comments below. And now I need to ask for a like. We'll bring you the news about the best team in football. That's it, fans. Stay tuned for more information about the NFL season.